Please direct your attention to the stage. Please direct your attention to the stage.
Hello. Hello. I know. Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Test, test. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Test, test. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. Still nothing. They're saying. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay? Is it? No, the sound. Okay, let's do some sound check. 1, 2, 3. Is that better? Testing, testing. Test, test. 1, 2, 3. I think is on the back. Thumbs down still, halfway. Testing, testing. All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. Testing, testing, testing. So, a little bit better, a little bit better. Okay, I'm looking over here. All right, so if it's okay with you all, we'll get started. Good evening, and welcome everyone. I am delighted to be here this evening and welcome you officially to OCCJ's Annual Awards event. I am really excited as I look out and see so many familiar faces and friends. If I haven't met you yet, if I haven't had the chance to meet you yet, I look forward to the opportunity to do so. I also want to welcome those of you who are joining us virtually this evening. Thank you all for your support and for believing in the mission and the work of OCCJ. Tonight, we are proud to recognize Claudia San Pedro, who is the president, the CEO of Sonic Drive-In, for her dedication and her commitment to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you know and have been following Claudia, you also know that she has been a steady champion for students throughout Oklahoma City and a first advocate to empower and support women. She continues to be an example and inspiration to so many of us, not just in Oklahoma, but throughout the nation. So thank you, Claudia. Let me see, there you are. Thank you, Claudia, for allowing us the opportunity to recognize you tonight. At this time, I would like to welcome Kara Golden to the stage. Kara is OCCJ's program manager, and she is going to be sharing a land acknowledgement for this evening.
As members of the Oklahoma Center for Community and Justice, OCCJ, we recognize the land on which the Embassy Suites resides as the traditional tribal range of the Kickapoo people. We recognize that Oklahoma itself is the home of 39 sovereign tribal nations. 7 of these, including the Osage, Wichita, Caddo, Plains and Jicarilla Apache, Comanche, and Kiowa, had their ancestral tribal range within and beyond what we now know as Oklahoma. In addition, 32 other tribal nations from across the continent were forced to relocate to this land within the last 250 years. OCCJ acknowledges the Native legacy, past, present, and future, that each of these tribal nations has with this land, which is known to many as Indian country. We recognize that they all have a spatial responsibility toward and kinship with this place that includes the earth, water, mountains, plants, and rivers. Many of these tribes are not here by choice and endured immense injustice at the hands of colonial and governmental forces seeking to eradicate native land, religions, languages, and lifeways. It is the fortitude and strength of spirit of these tribal nations which has enabled them to make Oklahoma their home and continue to thrive culturally and spiritually as Indigenous people. As an organization dedicated to the elimination of bias, bigotry, and oppression in all its forms, we believe that tribal sovereignty must be recognized in order for true reconciliation to begin. We rejoice with these tribal nations in each step taken toward this goal, and are proud to offer educational opportunities that elevate Native voices in and through our programs. OCCJ stands with the First Nations of our state in our collective efforts to counter centuries of attempted genocide, and as together we strive toward a more just future for all.
Thank you, Kara. Some of you know that I first became acquainted with OCCJ almost 20 years ago when I first participated in our Anytown Leadership Institute. I did not know then that OCCJ would influence my life and redirect the trajectory of my life, leading me all the way and bringing me here to this stage this evening, tonight. The impact of OCCJ's programs, such as Anytown, the Inclusive Leadership Institute, or the Youth, Race, and Leadership Forum, bring understanding to our community and equip individuals with skills and knowledge to confront bias, bigotry, racism, and oppression in its many forms. These programs would not be possible without the support of many individuals who champion OCCJ's mission and our work. Listed on the program, you can find a list of our fantastic board members who advocate for OCCJ every day. Our corporate sponsors who have demonstrated their commitment to equity and inclusion, both within their organizations and beyond. And our humanitarian members whose annual personal commitment to our work supports our programs and initiatives. We are very grateful for our partnership and for all that these folks do to enhance our work. I would also like to recognize the elected officials in the room, so please stand when I call your name. Representative Emily Virgin. And City Councilor Nikki Nice. Tonight's event provides the needed operating support to carry out our work. I would like to recognize the generous sponsors who have supported our mission and who amplify our voice in the community. Our community and justice sponsor is Inspire Brands. Our Inclusive Spirit sponsors are Bank First, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, Boeing, and the University of Central Oklahoma Office of the President. The rest of our sponsors are listed in the program. Thank you so very much for supporting our work. Please help me recognize our sponsors. At this time, I would like to invite Reverend Janetta Cravens to offer an invocation.
Thank you, Moises. Would you all be with me in a spirit of prayer and mindfulness? Holy One, we're gathered here to appreciate and to admire what can be accomplished when we build relationships that break barriers and when we work together. We're gathered to acknowledge and be astonished at what can be created when we use our unique talents and gifts to make whole communities where people belong. And to acknowledge what's possible when we champion understanding and open ourselves to curiosity and compassion about the lives and experiences of people and traditions and cultures that are different from our own. It's like the whole universe is gathered here in this room. All of our histories and experiences, languages and cultures, religions, genders, thoughts, and perspectives. Aren't we beautiful in all this diversity? It is like the world has convened here, even this food that will be served before us. Think of it. The lives that have touched it from Guatemala and Mexico, from Africa and Indonesia, California and Texas. And we're so grateful for those who have plucked and picked and cut and chopped and driven and harvested and prepared and served this food that we will eat. Here in this space we share breath and life and land. We are the world in this place, this global community, and we are still in need of justice for building and this planet that manages to support all of us. And may we, those who are gathered at the Climate Summit, be mindful of this commitment that we make, that everyone here belongs. We need open minds and humility to continue to build a more complete humanity, that the perspectives and experiences of other people, we need this Holy One. We need this because we need each other to last. We need each other to last. Nada te turbe, nada te espante, quien a Dios tiene nada la falta. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Cravens, for that invocation. So finally, please help me thank the wonderful staff here at Embassy Suites who have prepared our meal and will be taking care of us this evening. We will reconvene in a few minutes to continue the program, but for now, I hope that you enjoy dinner. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Please direct your attention to the screens.
Claudia has been a champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion for Sonic for, honestly, as long as that I can remember. Whether that's just leading by example or more recently as she has become the leader of Sonic, you know, really making sure that that is a priority and that in the larger voice of Inspire that we continue to keep a focus there. You know, I know for me personally, as a woman executive, you know, she's done a lot for me in terms of championing the roles that I could play, the development opportunities that I've had. And so just thinking about how really holistically she champions those ideals and really interweaves them into the culture of Sonic. She's also making time, you know, to go out and be committed to the community and sitting on local boards and being involved with Oklahoma City Public Schools in all sort of facets of the community. So I think that, you know, not just her philosophy at Sonic and what we can do with this outlet, but really like kind of getting her tentacles out on our personal time. I think that's really incredible how it's like an endless well of time and giving back.
Claudia has been an integral piece of education in Oklahoma City. With my work with her at the Oklahoma City Public Schools Foundation has allowed me to work with her as we have developed strategic alignment for our specific work on behalf of the students of Oklahoma City Public Schools. There is never a time that I have a conversation with Claudia that I don't feel like I'm going away with some benefit, with some aha. She just thinks of it in a different way that then helps me lead this organization in a way that's really strategic and forward-thinking. Claudia shows a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in everything that she does, specifically with the work we do here at the foundation. We're an urban school district, and we have a lot of diversity in our school district, which is such a beautiful, wonderful thing, and we like to celebrate that. And so we really like to have strength in our messaging, yet at the same time, it's really important that we also share concisely and clearly the needs that our school district has and the needs of our students. So Claudia is able to mesh those things together in a way that is really special and really valuable for us in the work that we do.
Claudia has been an amazing leader when it comes to being available to all levels of employees. So when you talk about being a female president, and she understands the weight of that and the importance of that, and being accessible to everyone in the company, and she really does have an open door policy. So she does give back by being available and having those conversations and being 100% transparent and authentic in how she presents her information. The Claudia that you see is this Claudia that she really, really is. My first impression of Claudia when she was brought into the company as the treasurer was I was very excited to see another female leader in such a great position, and a woman of color. Representation matters. When people see people that look like them doing big things, they then think, I could do that.
There's a new group called the Mayor's Roundtable on Diversity and Inclusion, Mayor Holt. And Tony Shin with Bank of America was an idea that he'd had that he wanted to start. And so he reached out to the mayor and a few executives in Oklahoma City to get it started and be a part of it. And Claudia was one of the folks that he reached out to, and I got involved as well. And so I've been able to really get to know Claudia through that work. That's where I've been able to learn so much, because she engages and inserts into discussion, so I get to hear about the things that they've done at Sonic and other community work that she's done. So it's a little bit of a journey, and we're all in a different spot in that journey. And some of us are further along and some not. And one was to get the dialogue and understanding going with other leaders in the community, raise the education and awareness of those with diversity inclusion challenges and opportunities, and then from there provide examples and direction and help so that we can take all of Oklahoma City and really make it a much more diverse and inclusive place.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion are so important. And Claudia's really had an impact in two key ways. First of all, she's just an amazing role model, and people look up to her, and she's had so much success in her own career. But she also finds a way to use her voice and to use her platform to advocate for others, and that's an incredible gift. I'm so proud of Claudia for receiving this award. When I first met Claudia, she was the Chief Financial Officer at Sonic, and I was a brand new board member, and we spent a ton of time together with her teaching me the business and teaching me the industry, and she was absolutely fantastic, and it was great to watch her really spread her wings as she became a president of the company, and she's done just a terrific job. So congratulations, Claudia. I'm really, really proud of you.
My name is Russ Florence. I'm a partner at Schnocky Turnbow Frank, and it has been my pleasure to be the dinner chair of this event, and it is a pleasure to see all of you. So I want to start with a show of hands. For how many of you is this one of your first events since before the pandemic? Raise your hand if this is one of your first events. So congratulations on being able to fit into your suit. That's a start. For some of us, it might have been a little bit more difficult than others. I tell people that I've gained the COVID-19. It has nothing to do with the virus. A couple of reminders since you've been on Zoom for the last year and a half. So there is no mute. There's no mute button in this, right? And a little bit later, my friend Brooke Townsend is going to come up, and we might be asking you for a donation. You cannot mute us, okay? It won't happen. You can't turn the video off. So So how cool is this that we are here to honor Claudia San Pedro for OCCJ? So I think it is so awesome. And I'm saying that as a Sonic aficionado. So I have a 9-year-old son. Claudia knows my son Luke. We're in the same neighborhood. We see each other. So I told my son Luke what I was doing tonight, and I told him who we were honoring. And I said, you know, she's the boss lady at Sonic. And so he wanted to know, Claudia, if we were going to be having cherry limeades and tater tots for dinner, which I thought was a fair question. So, but anyway, excited about tonight. Before Claudia comes up, I do want to take a minute to thank everybody who made tonight possible, the volunteers, the staff, the people from Claudia's office, Claudia's team, her husband Paul Sund, who may have been involved a little bit behind the scenes doing some covert operations. And also I want to extend a special thanks to our honorary co-chairs, two of Claudia's dear friends and colleagues, Mary Malone and Susan Shields. How about a round of applause for everybody who helped tonight? You know, I'll be brief because I want to give as much time as we can to Claudia for the podium tonight. But you know, I've been involved with OCCJ for a long time, about 20 years or so. First became involved when one of our partners, Steve Turnbow, when I was back in Tulsa, said to me in one of my first weeks on the job, he said, I want you to go to this dinner with me tonight. I think you might enjoy it. And it was an OCCJ dinner. And I remember walking into the room that night and hearing the speakers and watching the video and thinking, man, I have found my people. And I've been involved ever since, have been to a lot of dinners since then for OCCJ, and have honored a lot of people, a lot of very, very deserving people. And people who've been honored for what they've done, for money they've raised, for implementing programs, for giving money. They helped a lot of people. And again, all very, very deserving. But with Claudia, I don't know that I can think of an honoree who's more deserving because of who they are than Claudia. And there are some people, and it just seems to be in their DNA. And I think the video showed that. And you heard one of Claudia's colleagues say that, you know, what you see when she's representing Sonic is who she is. And it's refreshing, so refreshing when there's somebody who has so much influence and so much power, but you talk to the people who are around them every day, you know, kind of through thick and through thin, right? And they say, this is who she is. And that's who we have in Claudia. And what a thrill it is for OCCJ to be able to hold out somebody like Claudia San Pedro as an honoree and say, you know, this person, this is what we stand for. This is what we stand for. This is a great example of who we are. So about 50 years ago, a gentleman named Chuck Schnocky, who is a mentor of mine, founded the firm that I'm a part of now. And it was a public relations firm. And he had this odd premise at the time that good PR couldn't be built with just words alone. It's in your values, it's in your behaviors, and it's how you treat others. And you know, Chuck has been gone for about a dozen years now, but I still hear his words regularly. And I think that if Chuck were here, and if he knew Claudia, he would say to OCCJ that you picked a good one. So Claudia, I'm so glad that you said yes when we asked you if we could honor you. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to invite up to the stage Claudia San Pedro. It's all yours.
All right. Well, I'll just take a moment to say a few words, or maybe more than a few. We'll see. But first, every time I get together, I make a point now, since the pandemic, to just say, let's take a moment and not take for granted the fact that we can all be together in person. And I say this because, you know, sometimes we need bad things to happen to us to remember why we're here and what we need to do and our purpose. And through an incredibly tragic event like the pandemic and what I affectionately refer to the layers of misery of all of the divisiveness we've seen, I think for many of us, it really refocused our knowledge and our belief that we needed to get back to the fundamentals, and I can't think of a better organization than OCCJ in doing that. So I thank this organization for doing everything they're doing. They represent to me some key words, which is connection, building relationships. They represent impact and reconciliation as we all seek to understand it. And as a first-generation immigrant, I can speak firsthand to say I know what it's like to be different, the joys, the challenges. And I forever remember my parents talking to us about coming to this country and saying what an amazing opportunity it was to come to this country, and that through hard work and initiative, we could go far. But it was really through the generosity of many, many others that would allow us to continue that journey. So with that, I just want to recognize a few. First and foremost, my family. I will say November 1st and 2nd was Day of the Dead in our Mexican culture, and so I want to give a nod to my dad, who has been gone since 2019, and we think of him and he lives through us. My mom, who's an incredible example, and then my family, my husband, who for the past 15 years that I've been with Sonic has been amazing while I have traveled. I think for all of our families in Sonic, there's a lot of travel. And then my kids who are now grown up, Jack and Isabella, who have been stalwart supporters and an important part of keeping me humble every day, making sure we don't get a big head in our family. And then I want to give a special shout out to the Sonic family, who's just been an incredible part of this journey, and I've had incredible mentors like Scott McLean, who really set the example, and Steve Vaughn, even though he's not here. I also want to call out Julie Knutson, who I would not be standing here today if it weren't for Julie Knutson, who truly, when I was down and out and I was earning minimum wage at 3 different jobs, gave me an opportunity to do something bigger and better and started me along that journey. So thank you, Julie, for so much that you did. So I say all this to say, and I'm going to leave out people, but I think it's important that we do take the time to show our gratitude to all of the people who help us on this journey. And to Shane's kind words, I say that journey that we are all on, to challenge ourselves, to learn, to seek differences and learn where we can find similarities. And OCCJ does just that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Claudia. Tonight's program raises funds for OCCJ's youth programs and scholarships. Programs like Anytown Leadership Institute, which creates inclusive communities and learning opportunities for high school students. So after this short video, we'll hear from one of the Anytown alumna and an OCCJ summer intern, Noor Kabi. So enjoy this video.
The Oklahoma Center for Community and Justice is dedicated to achieving respect and understanding for all people. We do this through programs, initiatives, and partnerships in the community. Our vision is to eliminate bias, bigotry, and racism in our state and in our generation. Our unique program, Anytown Leadership Institute, promotes young leaders to find their voice and advocate for themselves and their communities in creating social justice. I was able to attend Anytown when I was a high school student, and it opened my eyes to new opportunities and experiences. It encouraged me to be the leader that my community needs.
I attended in 1994. Actually, that was the very first year that we held Anytown in Oklahoma. Anytown sort of refined my vision to working specifically on behalf of multiculturalism, inclusion, and taking a stand against discrimination, which is something I have an opportunity to do both in my volunteer service with OCCJ as well as my career as a public interest attorney. You know, systemic oppression hasn't gone away, discrimination hasn't gone away. We still have patterns of residential segregation that's reflected in our schools, our places of worship, and so there is still a compelling need for a program that focuses on what positive steps our youth leaders can take to make our community more inclusive.
I really want people to understand that Anytown is a place for everyone. Anytown is a home for everyone. No matter your background, no matter your personal beliefs, you can come to Anytown and you can not only find someone that's going to be like you, but you can also find people that are going to be different and they're going to talk to you about their differences.
We are becoming a more diverse school system, and it's always good to have the kids talk and see other people's differences, their cultures, their history, and their family history and lineage, and talk about it openly and learn how to talk about it and embrace it at such an early age. So I see as our program as just really just spreading the word and creating relationships across what really aren't boundaries, but perceived boundaries, so that people can realize that there really isn't a boundary there at all.
You have to get this information and educate young people early on. The successes that they've seen from Anytown, and that's been going on for many years, and the success that they have seen from that, how could we put together something where we could spend a weekend and do that same thing except on race and youth and leadership? And out of that, those conversations, we birthed the Youth and Race Leadership Forum. And in the midst of a pandemic, it was incredible, an incredible weekend that was put together, so professionally done. And the students from that cohort went back to their schools and led students to do the same thing, except in smaller groups in those schools, as far as where we are as a country, and when it comes to race issues, and when it comes to biases and prejudices, and unfortunately some pockets of America still ideology of racism, and how to attack it early on. So I am elated that one of the things that will continue on is the annual, and I'm going to go ahead and put it out there, we're going to do this annually as long as I'm here, a Youth and Race Leadership Forum, and I'm so excited that we'll be able to host that actually in Greenwood Rising. Within this facility we're standing, we'll be able to host that this year.
During my time at OCCJ, I often wished that we would work ourselves out of a job. That never happened. We would see some progress, and then we would have a setback. And we realized that our work would never be finished. Because we're experiencing a great deal of social unrest in our country right now, I think it makes our programs more relevant than ever. And because our programs are proven and tested, they are for the most part timeless. And I think they offer tools to the next generation to help us build a more just and inclusive society.
It's pretty much like you spent a dime on prevention as opposed to $1 of cure. This is the prevention. So if you educate people at an early age, you are going to cure the society. So it's better to spend money and let somebody like OCCJ, whose sole mission is to try to educate through dialogue and inclusion, to do their job. And please, if you can, go ahead and help.
Hello, I hope you're all doing well tonight. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Noor Kavi. I attend OU and I'm a junior studying public and nonprofit administration. And I attended Anytown in 2018, and I had the fortunate opportunity to intern with OCCJ this past summer, which was an amazing experience. So when I was in Anytowner in 2018, Anytown taught me that, most importantly, that I'm capable of being the difference that I wish to see in the world. Anytown helped me realize my passion for making change in the community, and also reaffirmed my desire and interest to work in nonprofits and philanthropy in the future so that I can help those who need it most at the highest level. I remember that one of the most special moments for me at Anytown happened at the end of the week when my cohort and I had learned about the many disparities and inequities in the Tulsa community, and I could tell that we had all realized the importance of fighting for social justice. And no matter what career or field we were about to enter into, we understood that no one is disqualified from making change, and it's a personal and moral responsibility, and that we are all fully equipped to take action. I remember Sarah Rana specifically saying that despite your age or the ability that you think you have, you can always educate yourself and you're never too young to make a difference. For many of the students around me, I know that it was the first time they were learning about systemic oppression or the everyday battles that underserved communities have to fight for in order to get fair opportunities. Saying goodbye was the most impactful moment for me. As we were getting on the bus, I realized that no matter what path we were headed towards or what career we were going into, it had been instilled in us by the Anytown spirit to use our voice, power, and privilege to help others. Post Anytown, the experience has given me so much motivation to keep pushing and pursuing my degree when things do get hard, knowing that the work it will allow me to do will be so fulfilling and improve the lives for those who feel like the odds are stacked against them. Knowing that there are people in my cohort and everyone who has gone through the Anytown experience is willing to fight for equity and justice inspires me the most and is probably the most special thing I took away from Anytown. I believe that all of OCCJ's work is so important in making strides towards justice, but I know that Anytown is special. I've seen it completely and permanently change the lives of high school students around me in a pivotal time where they may not have access to that type of education elsewhere. For me personally, it also established so many amazing friendships and communities and just a support system that I know the students that I was with in my cohort needed the most. Anytown really taught me to be a leader and to use my voice to stand up against injustice. And just like Nancy Day said in the video, Anytown is such a priceless tool for educating the youth. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who worked so hard. Eileen, Moises, Shadi, and Kara. My internship was such an amazing opportunity to see the behind the scenes and be a part of other students' Anytown experience. And so thank you to everyone who is supporting OCCJ's work. It is so important in making a difference. Thank you.
Well, if she doesn't give us hope, I don't know what will. That's amazing. And Marnie, she's going to work in nonprofit. Yay! So excited. Well, I don't know if Russ remembers this, but the reason why he's stuck up here with me is because he's the reason why I'm involved with OCCJ. Because when he transferred his passion for OCCJ from Tulsa to Oklahoma City and we started to build the organization's presence back up here, he asked for me to be on the Oklahoma City Advisory Committee, and that's how I became involved. So your payback is that you're stuck up here with me to close out the evening. So we will make it quick. But it has been a terrific evening, and through the years, I have not only grown to love the work of OCCJ, but I've come to understand the significance that this organization has in our community. And through my community investment work at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, I know that we have a lot of work to do in our state as we continue the conversation on how to best create inclusive communities. It was wonderful to hear from Noor as she told of her unique experiences at Anytown. And through the years, we have heard story after story of students who have flourished in their understanding after attending Anytown. And I reminded my husband that I cannot wait until our 12-year-old is old enough to go to Anytown. It's going to be life-changing if she makes it in. This always gives me hope for a bright future for Oklahomans learning to live together as they recognize their differences.
Did you say if she makes it?
If they accept.
Oh, if they accept her. Okay, gotcha. I thought you meant if she's, if she makes it. She'll make it. Okay. Just wanted to be sure here. Well, as we talked about in tonight's program, we knew that honoring Claudia would inspire all of us as we continue to open the doors to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Claudia's life exemplifies the type of person that we want leading our community's business and industry. And like Brooke, I'm also encouraged as I look at the upcoming generation, and Noor and her colleagues providing a new and fresh and much needed voice of care and acceptance of those around us. And we know that the programs that OCCJ produces continue to strengthen that voice and create a call to action that can change the trajectory of our lives as we live together in community. I've personally seen the impact of OCCJ programs, different and the same. Anytown, which you just heard about, the Inclusive Leadership Institute initiatives that are changing the way that business leaders now see those in their workplace. And tonight, I told you this was coming tonight, we've been given the challenge to raise $10,000. $10,000. And for a room this size, with this many people, if everyone gives, that's about $125 per person is all that we need, $125 per person. You know, my friend Bill O'Connor was the board chair for OCCJ back when I was in Tulsa about 8 or 10 years ago. And Bill used to talk about how OCCJ changes hearts and changes minds. And he's right. And it's not always an easy task, but it's an important one. It's an important one. And it takes all of us. We just can't stand by and hope that it happens. We've got to be able to and willing to devote some of the resources that we've been blessed with in order to amplify this voice and to continue changing hearts and minds. And so we have an opportunity to do that tonight. And Brooke is going to tell you how you can help.
Well, we know that there is no more important time than now for OCCJ's mission. There is a lot of work to be done. So for the technical aspect of how you do what Russ just mentioned, is on the table in front of you, there are giving cards. And if you take a moment to fill out those cards, there will be volunteers coming around to pick up the cards after you place them in the envelopes that are with them. And if you are joining us virtually, we would love for you to participate, and you can do that by making your contribution at OCCJOK.org. So we're going to place 2 minutes on the screen to allow you time to fill out your cards and for volunteers to collect them. This may be the longest 2 minutes that Russ and I have ever stood up on a stage, but we welcome your support of OCCJ because we know how important it is to support this very small but mighty team.
All right. Last call, if you've got an envelope and you need somebody to take it from you, raise your hand and a volunteer will be back around. I think we have one up here in front. Any others? 2 minutes is a lot of time, is plenty of time to write a lot of zeros on that pledge, right? That's what we're hoping for, lots of zeros. Well, this has been a great, great evening, and I want again to thank the committee and the board and the staff, Moises and your staff. You guys are so great to work with for this successful dinner. I especially want to thank Claudia for saying yes when we asked her if we could honor her this evening. And thank you as well for inspiring us to continue to build a world that truly cares for those around us. I also want to encourage all of you, as our participants this evening, to continue this conversation that we've had tonight. The mission of OCCJ is to achieve respect and understanding for all through education and dialogue. This allows us to create a more inclusive community for all. Thank you for supporting that mission and our programs, and I also want to encourage you to continue learning and growing in this purpose. And if you want to learn more about OCCJ and what all the organization does, feel free to contact me or Brooke or any of the staff members or any board member, and there is more information in your program.
One last bit of housekeeping. We purchased the flowers tonight from Curbside Flowers, and yay! And so for those of you who don't know about Curbside Flowers, there's a card with the centerpieces that tells you a little bit about this enterprise of the Homeless Alliance. And if you know someone who would enjoy the centerpiece, we would love for you to take it to them and also tell them about OCCJ as well as Curbside Flowers. So thank you very much. I think you're closing us out.
Thank you. I did leave out one minor detail. This award up here is actually for you, Claudia. I forgot to give it to you. In case you've been sitting there with your eye on that, wondering who is getting that, who's taking that home, it is for you, for sure. Details. Once again, it's been an honor to be the chair for this dinner. We appreciate you all so much and hope you have a safe evening, and we'll see you soon. Good night.